Real Rap TV.
We got Shani Nealy. Well, first, I want to thank you for taking the time out your day to talk with me. I appreciate it. So, we're going to start from the beginning on down for the viewers to get to know you better. So, you are from Oklahoma City?
I'm from Spencer, Oklahoma, which is right next to Oklahoma City. So a lot of people don't know Spencer, so a lot of times we'll just say Oklahoma City just to make it go over well.
Okay, and you were born and raised in Spencer?
Born in Oklahoma City, but raised in Spencer. Yeah.
Okay. How was it like growing up in Spencer?
Spencer is the country part of Oklahoma City, so it's a lot of cowboys. It's a small black town. So it's like a real close knit community. It's real down to earth, real, a lot of blue collar people here and like several generations of families. I think my family's been here 3 generations.
Okay,
So, I mean, it's a really grounding place to be raised.
okay. And you grew up with siblings, correct?
Yep, I have an older sister and a younger brother. Got the middle child thing.
Okay. Okay, what music was you into growing up in Spencer?
Okay, so my sister was a DJ, one of the first DJs. Well, she was one of the first DJs at our first black radio station in Oklahoma City. And so, growing up, my family was always into music, R&B, Gap Band. My parents are baby boomers, so that whole generation, SOS Band, Midnight Star, that whole R&B wave from the 70s to the 80s is what we grew up listening to.
Okay, that's what's up. So if you had a top five artist list, who would be on it?
Okay, outside of Tupac,
Um, it,
you
it
talking about R&B people?
okay, let's do it like this. What's your top R&B, and then we'll do your top five hip hop.
Okay, I mean, and in no particular order, but five that I got on rotation all the time.
Yeah,
Gap Band, D'Angelo, um, Christopher Williams, Midnight Star, and well, I gotta add a couple. Mary J. Blige, of course. I cannot leave out Mary J. Blige.
you
So there
can't
we
go
go.
wrong with that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who your top five hip hop artists?
Hip hop, I'm going number one, Tupac. That's not gonna stop. And I'm gonna go Ti, Jeezy, Outlaws, of course. And I'm gonna add Little Wayne.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tupac, so you met the late great icon Tupac Shakur at a concert in your hometown. Was that in Spencer or was that in Oklahoma City?
No, that's Oklahoma City. It ain't too much happening in Spencer other than some rodeos and things like that. But that was in Oklahoma City. So the way that happened was I won the tickets on the radio. Is that crazy? I was home. I went to the University of Oklahoma and I was home for the weekend. And they would do like be the 11th caller and win concert tickets. And shoot, I got on the phone and I was the 11th caller and I won the tickets. I didn't even have a car, so I didn't even have a way to go get the tickets or get to the concert. But my sister was a DJ at the radio station at the time, so all my friends they all thought, "Oh, your sister must have hooked you up." But no, she did not actually won the tickets on the radio. So won the tickets, and me and my friend we went to the show, to the concert he did. Yeah.
What radio station that was that your sister was working at?
At that time it was KVSP AM 1140, right? And they're still here. They are owned by Perry Publishing and Broadcasting. They are the largest independent minority owned radio station media company in the United States. And they're right here in Oklahoma. They own radio stations in I think 7 different states. And that was the first station in Oklahoma. I think they opened around 1992 or something like that, 93. They had just came on the air.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, I was in college and yeah, it was 1993 when that show happened. And it was can't remember everybody that was on the ticket with Tupac. but it was down at the Myriad. That was the place, where all the concerts took place at that time. And so we went to the show, and just being honest about it all, the show was really bad because the sound system was bad. You know how speakers sound when they busted. So sound was bad. The crowd was like rowdy. I do remember like maybe somebody threw some popcorn or some ice on stage at Tupac, and it was just like like rowdy, And but he did the show. We didn't have really good seats, but we still saw it. He did the show, and yeah, it was. I didn't know that I was involved in something that was epic. You know what I'm saying?
All right. How was his energy that year in '93? Was it the same how people portray he was?
Um, that show, because like I said, the sound system was messed up and people were throwing stuff on stage. He of course did his songs, but it was a little hostile, I have to say. The energy was hostile. So you seen that one where he did the House of Blues concert?
Yeah.
And they just kind of kicking it, vibing it, him and the Outlaws, and everybody just like, song after song. It wasn't the same vibe as that. It was a little hostile because of the way the crowd was acting that evening.
Okay. That same concert that he performed, was that the same day you got an autograph from him, or was it another time you was able to meet him?
No, it was that night. So we just heard people saying, he's at this hotel, whatever hotel it was. I don't know. We went to the hotel. We went to the hotel, went on the elevators, went upstairs, and there was so many people at that hotel. They were going up and down the elevators, looking for Tupac. And so we just went back down to the lobby and we just hung out in the lobby and waited it all out. People left, people were leaving. It was a long evening. And we were down in the lobby hanging out with it was a bodyguard. There's another guy named Serge, I believe, that used to be in a group with him. He was in the I Get Around videos, and he's in a lot of old pictures and stuff with them. I know he was good friends with Big Syke. So we hung out in the lobby and we were taking pictures with them.
Okay.
And I think one of the guys in the picture was that guy that was in that rape case with him.
I,
Yeah, if you look at the court pictures and the videos of when he went to court for that rape case, one of those guys in my pictures was involved in that. I want to say his name was Charles. I don't
Charles.
know his real name.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he's in one of those pictures in the very middle, shorter guy.
Do
The other few guys, one of them was a bodyguard. I don't know what Surge's role was. He was just in a crew, I guess. But he was cool.
Okay. Now, so that's the infamous picture that's going around that same night.
Yeah, that's the same night. So listen, like this is funny. So me and my friend, I had to go with her because I didn't have a car. We hanging out in the lobby taking pictures and everything. And it's the old camera, like you take the picture, you snap it and you roll it back. You gotta roll your film. I don't know if you was back around back then, but you take a picture, you snap it, and it rolls. Well, by the time Tupac came off the elevator, I ran out of film. I had took all the pictures because we was in the lobby with them taking pictures. So we saw Tupac come down the elevator. He had like a duffel bag in his arm and he looked at the lobby. He looked both ways and he was like, I'm gonna get out of here. Like he was trying to get to the tour bus. So I told my friend, let's go. We gotta get there. So we kind of tailed him as he went through these doors. And we went through the doors and I was like, shoot, I didn't know what to say. Was I gonna say Tupac? I was like, Mr. Shakur, Mr. Pac. I didn't know what to say. So I was like, Mr. Tupac. And so my friend laughs about this to this day, right? Like she's like, you called him Mr. Tupac. But he turned around and he had an attitude. He was like, oh. And I was like, would you take a picture with us? He didn't want to. He was like, oh. And he was like, yeah, come on. So she took the picture, but before we did the picture, I snapped it and I made the film reverse to the very first picture on the roll. So that picture is two pictures in one. So that's why people would be like, oh, your picture is fake. No, it's not fake. I ran out of film. And I mean, I'm thinking quick as I'm walking, snapping that button, trying to make that film reverse it, like roll to the beginning. And my friend took the picture. She was like, let's go, because he had an attitude. She was like, let's go. I was like, we're going to get this picture. We ain't going nowhere. So we took the picture. And so it's kind of layered over. And of course, screenshotted and all that other stuff. But in the original, you can see he's smoking a blunt. He had a duffel bag in one hand, or either he put the bag down and then he was pulling up his jersey because he had his beeper right there on his hip. So he was pulling up his shirt so you could see his beeper, and he had a blunt in his mouth. Yeah, so I still have the negatives, and I've reached out to some camera, developing places to try to see if they could use the negative and like lift the two pictures apart so you could really see the real picture. But a lot they always say they can't do it, so I'm just leave it alone. But yeah, he was smoking a blunt. He had the beeper, and then shoot, we took the picture, and he went and got on the tour bus, and I think they got pulled over by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol later that evening.
And you
That
said so. So you said his energy was off. So he had an attitude. That's something new. I ain't never heard about that.
Well, I believe because the show was going the way it went. The
Oh,
sound
okay,
system, yeah, and the crowd was. He still performed. Of course, he ain't gonna. I mean, he gave his energy on the performance, but I believe that if you're an artist and the speakers aren't right, you're not happy.
okay,
You like, oh my god, and so it just wasn't. He just seemed irritated. That's what I would say because he was like, oh,
okay, okay,
enough to where my friend was like, let's go. I was like, no, we're not going. We're going to take this picture. I don't care. I mean, but he still took the picture. If he didn't want to take it, that was Tupac. If he didn't want to take the picture, he would have just been like, no, and got on the bus. But he did turn around and take the picture.
okay. And then you said this was in '93, right?
Yeah, I still have my concert ticket from that night. It was, I think it was September 3rd, 1993. Yes.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Tupac song?
So commercially, my favorite Tupac song is "Ambitions as a Rider." I actually came out that when I got married, that was my song that we got introduced to. "Ambitions as a Rider." But I would say like inspirationally, there's other songs like "Blasphemy" or "Hold Your Head." Where he's talking about how you overcome a struggle.
Right.
Like if you listen to Blasphemy, he's giving you rules to the game because of the bad things that happen to him. So he's trying to pass on things for you to watch out for in life, or hold your head. So like, commercially, I'm gonna say Ambitions as a rider, but like when I'm listening to, or even Hail Mary, like Young Noble's verse on Hail Mary was inspirational, talking about things. So yeah, commercially, I would say Ambitions as a rider.
What's your favorite Tupac album?
Man, that's hard. I mean, everybody gonna say all eyes on me, but I'm about to go with Machiavelli.
Oh yeah, you snap. Same over here. I pick Machiavelli too. What's your reasons you pick Machiavelli?
Because even if you listen to a little bit of All Eyes on Me, but really Machiavelli, this is when he was talking about how people did him wrong.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
Bomb First, The White Man's World. Hail Mary wasn't really that, but I like the fact that Tupac was talking about the struggle. And one of the reasons that I really started liking Tupac was because he was like I like it because he was a thug, but two, because he was overcoming bad things happening. Like I used to tell myself, if I was going through something, Tupac has the whole world looking at him. He in jail, he's going through this. My problem is nothing compared to what he would be going through. And if he could get up and do his life and do what he did, that made me have inspiration to keep going as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So think about that album. Yeah, he had been done wrong by Biggie, whatever whether he was fabricating it or it was real situations. The songs that came out was people do you wrong and you got to come back strong.
Now, what's your favorite Tupac movie?
I'm Juice. Look, I'm
Uh,
gonna recite that all day. It's
classic.
Juice.
Straight classic.
I just, so I know this might be not one of your questions, but so when I was in high school, I think it was 91, Tupac might have came out. My friend Marcus, we were listening to tape players. I don't know if you know what a tape player is. It wasn't even a cassette, but it was like a little tape player in the classroom. And he had Tupac's tape, and he said, I need you to come back here and listen to this tape. It's this dude named Tupac, and he seemed like one of these dudes you would like. So we're in the back of the classroom listening to Brenda's Got a Baby. Right. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I do like him. And that's how I got introduced to Tupac, was from my friend Marcus in the algebra class.
Okay. When you heard about his passing in '96, how'd you take that in?
Oh, dude, I was devastated. Like, I don't even, that was, so when he was, When was he in jail? Okay, so when he was in jail in 95, I used to mail him cards, books, like little things as a fan, letters, whatever. So when he got out, okay, cool, happy Tupac's gonna come back strong. When I heard hit him up, I was like, oh my God, he cannot be doing stuff like this. Like I just knew something bad was gonna happen. It was raw. And then when he got shot and he was in the hospital, I was in college at that time and I worked a lot. I didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch TV, and there was no social media back then anyway. So you wouldn't know what was going on other than the news, and so I would call up to the hospital every day and ask them, like, what's going on with Tupac? How was he doing? And I remember that day he died. I had called before I went to work, and that nurse said he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be all right. I was like, cool, shoot. I got all my clothes on and went to work. My mama called me at work, and I remember I was devastated. Like I still had hours to work my shift. I was devastated. And my friend Marcus called me that night too. I was devastated. And I mean, I just went home. Shoot, I got in the tub. I was just like devastated. I can't even tell you, like, I didn't have any words. I was just very quiet and solemn. And I think that went on. I mean, I know I was depressed for about a year. I couldn't even listen to some of his music.
Mm.
Yeah, it affected me like that. Like I didn't even want to hear the songs. I was just devastated because I was relying on Tupac. I relied on him. The songs, the persona, the inspiration. So if he was dead, I was like, dang. Yeah, that hurt me.
Yeah, to this day, a lot of people still think he's still alive, which is crazy. Because I feel like
Yeah.
if you think that, then you really ain't know his character. Because he wasn't that type of person to be had and
Yeah.
just letting. Because there's interviews to this day coming out that's false and people talking about his mother, all type of stuff, and he wasn't that type
Yeah.
of character. So the fact that people still think he in Cuba somewhere is crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of, that's immature mentality. I mean, if you was alive when it happened, you understood the devastation across his family, across his crew, across the music industry. There's no way that that's possible.
Right, right. Now, in 2024, you were the Impact Woman of the Year in Oklahoma City. That's big. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
How was that?
Man, that was one of the best days of my life, aside from meeting Tupac. Okay. And so the same company I told you that was the media company that my sister worked for, they put on this event every year.
Mm,
And they recognized me. I've been at my job now at the Urban League now for 30 years. And so they recognized my, achievements in nonprofit and all the things I've done. At that time, it would have been like 28 years. So that was one of the best days of my life, and I actually quoted Tupac. And everybody know that I love Tupac, so they know that I was gonna quote Tupac in my like thank you speech. And so yeah, that was one of the best days. It was one of
that's
my
what's
best
up.
days.
And speaking of
Mhm.
the Urban League, you were the senior vice president of the administration. Tell us about that.
So I'm senior vice president of administration, and I started working at Urban League 1996. When Tupac died, I
Oh,
started working
wow.
there earlier that year. It was a bad year. Had to keep that to myself. But yeah, I started working there, and then I only planned on staying a couple of years. And I worked in our business development department, helping people start businesses. And then over the years, just kind of got moved up into administration. And shoot, I've been there now 30 years, but I still implement our small business department. So I supervise that department, make sure all those activities go. Urban League and NAACP are the two oldest civil rights organizations in the nation. And so I feel it's an honor to be affiliated with. And so whenever we go to national conferences and you look around and you see like 4,000 Black people, like all on the same mission, that stuff is moving, so I feel it's an honor, the job that I have.
That's what's up. If you had anything to tell the youth if they was feeling down and thinking their life was over, what would you tell them?
So I've had this recently. Because I'm also a therapist, and so I have to give people, a little bit of advice and motivation. I tell people to try to find something that gives them inspiration, whether it's them reading their Bible, it's their religion, it's their family, their kids. For me, it was listening to Tupac songs and finding a quote that motivated me. So I'm gonna go along that lines. Find a quote that you can say to yourself every day that motivates you, whether it's through every dark night, there's a bright day. That's just really basic, but it's true. So if they could find something to hold on to, um, baby, don't cry. Keep your head up. Find something that you can repeat to yourself, and and remember that it's telling you that everything is going to be okay.
Okay. Now, how impactful Tupac was to you?
Man, it's everything about my life. My email address, my phone number is Tupac. Everybody that knows me, like, it is no way that they don't know that I promote Tupac as a positive image, even though thug life and all this stuff. No, you got to go deeper than that. And one of the biggest impacts was knowing his life story, that his mother made him read a newspaper. His mother was a Black Panther. He's not ordinary. He came out of intelligence and strategic family development and things like that. So the intellect part of Tupac is what motivates me. I met his mother too. I met his mom, his sister. Um, Met the Outlaws. I'm a fan down to the bone.
How was that meeting Afeni and Sexual?
When I met Afeni, I bumped into her. We were at the Essence Music Festival, and we were just walking in the crowd, me and my mom. And I turned around and just bumped. We walked right into each other. And I was like, "Oh my God, I know who you are." And she started laughing. And my mom took a quick picture, and I was epic. And then, my mom met her again and had some books autographed for me. And then I think one year when I met his sister, she was autographing books, and then the other year the mom was autographing the DVD.
Okay.
And she was just sitting behind a table. And actually, I ran into her in the airport a couple years ago in Atlanta. But when I met her, it was they were set up at a table,
Okay.
signing his books.
Okay. Anything you want the viewers to know? What's next for you? Anything you want to promote?
Um, Really, yeah, sure. So as I celebrate my 30 years at the Urban League, I am throwing a destination party in Jamaica, the weekend of May 29th and 30th, and we will be having Christopher Williams perform at this concert. So if you're gonna be in Jamaica that weekend, hit me up, see if I can get you some tickets. But we are there. I'm gonna celebrate my 30 years, and I'm going trying to go out on that note at some point. But yes, that's what I have coming up is celebrating my 30 years at the Urban League.
Oh, that's what's up. That's big.
Mm.
Shout out your Instagram so people can follow you.
So my Instagram is just my name, Shani Nealy, real easy to find.
Okay. Thank you again for your time. Tupac community, they gonna like this story. Keep up the good work. Very inspiring, intelligent, motivational. Life is what you make it.
Mm.
And just keep elevating and God bless you. Any remarks you want to leave closing out?
Well, I want to thank you for reaching out to me, man, because I have never done an interview and told my story. And some of those pictures I sent you had never been published,
Oh,
like those pictures of that show. So thank you. If you want to put them out, a couple years ago, I sent them to Edie and Noble and was like, "Hey, I'm going to post these on my social media. They have never been posted in 25 years."
mm.
And yeah, so if you post them, thank you. And thank you for asking me my story. I feel lucky to be have met him, and been in his circle. And thank you for asking me to do the interview and acknowledging me.
Oh, no problem.
Real Rap TV.